Amis, c'est l'heure de la jeunesse. Suivons la voie de la sagesse qui nous appelle, qui nous invite à l'union. C'est la voie de la nation.
Fellow Cameroonians, I'm Jacques Bouhga Hagbe, a Cameroonian economist and candidate in the upcoming presidential election in October 2025 in Cameroon. In this video message, I continue to tell you about my proposals on the monetary system that I intend to establish in Cameroon. The Constitution will authorize the issuance in Cameroon of private currencies by entities other than the Central Bank of Cameroon, the CBK, under certain conditions, which will have to minimize the various risks to the stability of the financial system. First, private entities issuing private currencies will have to obtain approval from the CBK. Second, these entities will have to comply with prudential standards specified by the CBK. These prudential standards will have to take into account the revenues and capitalization in crores of the entities issuing private currencies. These entities will also have to pledge all or part of their assets as collateral to the CBK. The value of the collateral required by the CBK will have to be a fraction of the amount of private currency in circulation issued by the entity. Third, the monetary and credit operations of these entities will have to be under the supervision of the CBK. Fourth, the private currencies will be exchangeable for the crew on an exchange platform that the CBK will set up, and the exchange rate against the crew will be flexible and published in real time. The private currencies will not have a fixed exchange rate against the crew in order to limit risks for users and not to give them implicit guarantees on the exchange rate of the private currencies in question. Real-time exchange rates for private currencies will also be available on the CBK's phone application on exchange rates of currencies against the national currency. In order to maintain demand for the crew, which will remain the reference currency in Cameroon, traders will not be able to purchase a private currency with another private currency on the private currency market. They will first have to buy the crew and then purchase the private currency they want with the crew. Thus, the crew will continue to play a central role in Cameroon's new monetary system, and the CBK will retain significant influence over this system. Fifth, before obtaining approval from the CBK, the entity wishing to issue a private currency will have to prove that this private currency will be accepted at least one point of sale for goods or services registered in the Cameroonian Trade Register and acceptable to the CBK. For each private currency, the list of points of sale for goods and services where it is accepted will be updated and published on the CBK's website in collaboration with the entity issuing the private currency. The private currencies will have to remain in electronic form, as only the crew and its subunits will be able to circulate in paper or metal form. The electronic ledger used to create each private currency will have to remain under the control of the CBK, which could, if necessary, prevent the relevant private currency issuing entity from using it. The CBK will impose further restrictions on the use of these private currencies after explaining to the public why these restrictions are necessary. In the event that an entity issuing a private currency fails to comply with the prudential standards or directives of the CBK, The letter could cancel the private currency after withdrawing it from circulation by having it repurchased with CRUs. The entity issuing the private currency could also cancel its private currency after removing it from circulation by repurchasing it with the CRU. Private currencies will allow the CBK to decouple monetary inflation problems from the financing of the economy. Since inflation will be calculated based on prices in CRUs, the CBK will be able to tighten access to CRUs while allowing private currencies to finance opportunities available to economic operators with liquidity needs. For example, the CBK could drastically raise interest rates while simultaneously relax prudential standards for private currency issuers, such as capital adequacy ratios. Such a move will allow them to extend more credit in private currencies while reducing credit in CRUs. In these cases, the CRUs could appreciate against private currencies, which will help reduce CRUs inflation without slowing economic activity. Cameroon's new monetary system will allow the CBK to focus on the inflation rate, which will be kept below 5% without stifling economic activity. As you can see, our country can recover very quickly, including by regaining its monetary sovereignty. Do not be discouraged. Register to vote and do everything you can to vote in October. Join the Cameroon movement on its website, cameroonmovement.net, and let us lead the fight for change peacefully but with determination. Your financial support remains crucial. It consists of making donations to the Cameroon movement through the means available on its website. We'll need a lot of money to mobilize the Cameroonian people and monitor its vote for the liberation of Cameroon. Do not be afraid. Our only true political party is Cameroon. Do not be afraid. Long live free Cameroon. Long live free Africa. Thank you for your kind attention.
C'est la voix de la nation.